Hello students, today we are going to discuss the lesson A Bicycle in Good Repair. It is written by Jerome K. Jerome. In this story, the characters are the author, that is the narrator, and the narrator's cyclist friend. Now, let us come to the synopsis. A common man's car is a bicycle because it is the cheapest mode of conveyance and transport. But we need to keep it in proper working order. The narrator and his friend decide to go for a bicycle ride. But on the appointed day, the narrator's friend first offers to repair the author's bicycle, and in the story we find that the rest goes bitterly downhill. Actually, the narrator's friend wanted to prove that he was an efficient mechanic. But actually it was not so. The incidents which happen in the story are humorous. The bicycle ride is enjoyable only if it is in the good condition. But before going on a long pleasure ride, one should get it thoroughly checked by an expert mechanic. But the boy in the story experienced a mechanic who knew nothing and spoiled the plan of the pleasure rides. The narrator initially hesitated and later regretted. We find humor throughout the story, in the activities and the conversation, and it created laughter. Let us now come to the summary of the story. Summary for part 1 of the story. One evening, the narrator accepted his friend's proposal to go for a bicycle ride on the following day. The narrator got up early in the morning and started waiting for his friend. His friend came half an hour late. He examined the narrator's bicycle. He shook the front wheel with force. The narrator repeatedly requested him not to hurt the machine, but the narrator's friend did not pay any heed to the narrator. The friend declared that the front wheel was unsteady and it could prove dangerous. He asked for a hammer. He took the front wheel off the fork and held it between his legs. he found fault with the ball bearings. He set about repairing the machine. He unscrewed it and the iron balls rolled away. They collected 16 of them. The narrator put them safely in his hat. Let us now come to the summary of the part 2 of the story. Next, his friend handled the chain. The narrator tried to stop him so that he does not spoil it further, but the narrator's friend did not stop his venture. He took off the gear case. He claimed to know all about a bicycle. He removed the gearbox but lost the screws. The narrator was too weak to check the friend from doing further mischief, as the narrator's friend did not listen to the narrator. The friend went ahead. He tightened the chain till it would not move. Then he made it very loose. He finally decided to fix the front wheel in place. The narrator then changed places with him and put the wheel in tight position. He laughed and admitted that he was an ass. The reason was that they had forgotten to put the iron balls in place. The narrator looked for his hat in which he had put the balls safely, but the hat lay upturned and the balls were all scattered. They could find only 11. They fixed 6 on one side and 5 on the other. And half an hour later, the wheel was put in its place again. But it wobbled even then. The narrator was not impressed by his friend's skill at repairing the bicycle, as by his confidence in himself and his hopeful attitude. The friend then set to refix the gearbox. He put the bicycle in different places and positions for the job. He lost his balance and hurt himself on the head. Then he lost his temper and tried to punish the bicycle. It was a sort of fight between the man and the machine. The tough bicycle showed spirit. It freed itself from its hold and hit him over the head with its handle. At 1:45, the narrator's friend thought that the work was done. He himself was dirty and bleeding. He cleaned himself and the narrator then sent him home. It was difficult to decide who had suffered more, the friend or the bicycle. The man actually messed up everything. Now, let us come to the key points of the story. The author or the narrator agrees to his friend to go on a bicycle ride. The man next day comes late and starts shaking the author's bicycle violently. The author was unable to understand why he was doing so. The author got irritated but only observed quietly. The man sent the author to bring a hammer to repair the front wheel. When the author comes back, he sees the man sitting on the ground with the front wheel between his legs. The remnant part of the machine was lying on the gravel path. The man then unscrewed something and some balls rolled out. Then the man took off the gear case, even though the author tried to dissuade him. At once the author felt to kick the lunatic man out of the gate, but he was too emotional that he could not hurt anyone. Finally, they started to put everything at its own place, but due to some missing balls and screws, the machine wobbled. At the end, the man himself got hurt and the author sent him back home. So it was a tough fight between a man and a bicycle. Now, let us come to the moral of the story. The moral of the story is that to disfigure something, it takes very little time, but to repair something, it takes a lot of time and energy. The author's friend took out the parts of the bicycle and disfigured it completely. We can also say that we must learn to say no to people who may be unwillingly hurting us. So, this is all about the summary and key points of the story, A Bicycle in Good Repair. Thank you, students.